The power within can make the pyramid of light shine forever until the 8th millennium. Hey guys, welcome back to the Bucket Think Tank, and we're back with our comic run talk. So this is a very special comic run talk. Why? Because we're doing something special, something we haven't done before. Manga. Now, if you've been following us for a while, if you followed the last comic run talk, you know exactly which one we're doing. But because I am a long-winded little bastard, we're going to talk about how we came to this conclusion to do this particular one. So, I'd wanted to do a manga for a while. Probably, I think, maybe the second year after this. Like, after we got a good handle on the Disney royalty series, which we might have to update that, and the whole Life of Scrooge thing, another thing we're going to have to update. I'm actually kind of excited to do that. I felt like, you know what, I think we've got a good handle on this. We should probably do manga. A manga at least, see how we feel. So the question was, what should it be? What should our first manga be? And honestly, I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to go. So we've gone with this. This is like my favorite manga of all time. Possibly my favorite anime of all time. But, you know, if you're familiar with this manga and this series, you're familiar with this name and what that name did. Presumably, allegedly, definitely. And that's been an issue for me ever since that came out. It took me a while to even want to come back to the series, but turns out I still love it. But by the time I did that, you know, the live action ones came out, and then that crappy Kyoto OVA came out. That was just ass. And then they did the whole. They're rebooting the anime. That's been a thing, and so I was just like, yeah, do I want to wait? Let's probably wait for that. So yeah, we can't do that one. Demon Slayer. It's a bit more relevant, more with it, but I'm very mid about Demon Slayer. Like, it's not bad, but it's not like the greatest thing ever. When people say the animation carried the series, I think what they really meant is that, you know, the high point of it is really the animation. To be fair, it's good. That's good. My Hero Academia, bit too relevant for me. Bit too much. Like, I like Deku to death. But there's, like, that series makes a lot of, like, the liberation thing, that to me just sort of lost me. At some point, I'll have to go back and just really go through that again. Hikaru no Go. Well, if I said My Hero Academia is too popular, too mainstream, this is too niche. As much as I love it, I do love Hikaru no Go. It's really fun. If I do a top 10, it'd be there. Your Line April. If I want to do something just for February, just for Valentine's Day, or I just wanted to cry, I'd do that. But no. That's How I Met Reincarnated as a Slime? As far as Isekai go, I think it's alright. Read it. It started in November, of last November, so I'm a bit behind. But, maybe, but no. Doesn't feel like me right now. So if you were there when I was on Blogger, I think it's still up there, I did a whole, like, synopsis on this. Also very cringe Disney Princess review stuff. Like, we're not going back there. It's still there, but we're not. Also, Totally Not Marked did a great review on Naruto. It haunts me to this day, so I'm not ready to go into that yet. But it's up there. Gotta find a headband, though. I need some merch whenever I go up for these series. Eureka 7, you know what? No. As a manga, no. As an anime, probably not even then. It's just. So I'm of the mind that Eureka 7 is the sequel series to Cowboy Bebop. I can't prove it. But it just sort of felt like they exist in the same universe, somehow. I don't know, one predated the other. Also, this is the only time on the manga that Renton is on the cover. And he doesn't even have a head. Yeah. Bleach. Totally Not Marked beat me to that again. It's not like it was hard for him to beat me to it. I might. Like Naruto and Bleach, you know, the big three, of course. You know, if you're going to pick anything, pick the mainstream. But not for the first one. And I think Bleach is a good example of how to do a flat protagonist sort of wrong. because the problem is he doesn't start off as a flat protagonist, but whatever. Full Metal Alchemist, whether it be 2003 or Brotherhood, there is some nerd out there, some big fangirl out there, who will probably hurt me if I do that series wrong. So, we'll come back to that when we get to that. Dragon Ball, well, if Totally Not Mark is the reason they didn't want to do Naruto or Bleach, it definitely means I can't do Dragon Ball. But there's something to appreciate for Dragon Ball. Its simplicity is its strength. And that's true of the entirety of the entire Dragon Ball franchise. I'm sorry. Every anime and manga does not have to be Death Note. Yes, Light's face is right there. We're not showing him. Alright? Best boy right here. And the real winner, Ryuk. Alright? There you go. Mm-hmm. Shaman King. English opening aside, which just really gets you going. Sure. Shaman King is such a weird and fun series at the same time. But not weird in the way that, say, JoJo's is weird. It's just... It does have something in common with the series we actually did pick. So, in the fact that it does take itself seriously despite the absurdity of it. Yu Yu Hakusho, I don't care that Totally Not Marked did this one. Super Eye Patch Wolf did it, and Naruto, and Bleach. And, so they live in my head rent-free. Yu Yu Hakusho is possibly one of the few animes that I think have withstood the test of time, which is weird because in the original manga there's 5, 6 chapters that are missing from the beginning, and there's a whole half-assed done final arc after the Three Kings saga, which the Three Kings saga is still kind of lacking in its own way, so grain of salt depending on how you view that one. But Takahashi did write the letter telling us how he felt. His heart just wasn't in Yu Yu Hakusho by the end of it, and I'd rather he just not do it anymore at that point. A whole page about a whale. Ugh. If you want to find a pretentious martial arts manga, this is it. I'm not gonna lie. Of all the martial arts manga I've read, and actually it's not a lot. You'd really think that'd be something I'd be into. Well, there's a couple, but no. No. Read Kenichi. History is Mightiest Disciple, which they also need to release that manga in the U.S. They need to translate that. Yeah, this is just fan service, but Kenichi has fan service. This is a bit more on the fan service and a bit darker in some places, but honestly, I have no idea who the protagonist of this story is. It's not. It's just not. It's just fan service. It tries, though. It tries. I'm gonna be fair. The anime's trash. The only good about that anime is the opening, and the second episode, or the first episode? Oh, when the protagonist gets beat up by the guy that starts the series off. I don't know. And then we got Goblin Slayer. Goblin Slayer's tempting. Oh. So at one point I had a very sort of low period for manga. I just didn't find anything that just really spoke to me. People hype something up to me, I just don't want to read it. That was me and SAO. So I just couldn't. But then I found Goblin Slayer. I'm like, this restored my faith in manga. Just when you think there's nothing for you, the actual Batman comes in. Loved it. Inuyasha. So if you ever want to find an anime that doesn't really improve on the manga, as a matter of fact, makes the manga better because it's not that great. I said it. The manga is much better. Inuyasha is that series. All right. And I don't have the strength for One Piece. All right. I'm relatively caught up. I still read it, but I feel like I've definitely missed something. I've missed a couple arcs, so I'm trying to get re-caught up. I have no idea what's going on Egghead Island, and I kind of dropped off by Dressrosa, but I've also been watching Wano Kuni and the whole Cake Island thing with Big Mom, so I'm aware of what's going on, but I feel like I've definitely been... One Piece is one of those series where if you miss an arc, you've kind of missed some big plot progression, especially with where One Piece is right now. Yeah. But real quick, with One Piece, one thing I want to say is Oda is really creating something big and fantastical here. And This is really, and I know there's no way they could do it, but this is actually how Pokemon should have been in terms of how its world is built. Alright, Pokemon builds itself ass backwards. Speaking of, Pokemon Adventures is peak Pokemon. Alright, it just is. It just is. Like, if you want the best of Pokemon, you go to Pokemon Adventures. Alright, Pokemon Origins ain't got nothing on it. Let's see here. That new Pokemon thing, no. The stuff with Elaine, no. Ash, as much as I love that knucklehead, he's got nothing on red. There's like 3 reds? Yeah, this is the best red. Personally, I think Pokemon Adventures kind of peaked at the Fire Red, Leaf Green, Emerald thing. It's just my opinion. I think Diamond and Pearl really tried. And then Black and White, like the more complicated Pokemon gets, I think the worse the manga gets. I think the series, the manga works best when everything's sort of thin and vague. They can explore it a bit better. But X and Y kind of killed me. If for no other reason, those damn names. Xy, Y, I deserve an award for keeping up with that. Jobless reincarnation? Oh, yeah, some fat, overweight guy who just spends all of his time reading manga and watching anime. Yeah, I don't connect to that at all. Jujutsu Kaisen is, I think, better served in the anime than it is the manga. That's just me coming in through about 7-8 volumes. It's not bad, but I think the anime does a better job of it. It's not the first anime to do that, or the first manga with that problem. I would say Basilisk is a good example of that, and I think there was another one that I was thinking of. I guess not. Which had Atelier. This is fun. I think it's a fun approach to, if you like Magical Do-Re-Mi, but you felt it needed something like, oh, gee, not to be built for kids. This is it for you. This is it. It's fun. It's great. I think it's a fun direction. When you think of Magical Girl, I don't think you have to think of, this is how we learn magic. None of this Moon Prism power, which, not to bash Sailor Moon. Actually, Sailor Moon is another series that is saved by the anime, because that manga is just a pretty mess. That's all there is to it. But this is fun. I liked Black Clover. I still enjoy Black Clover. I don't love Black Clover. I think this is a series that really didn't have to go on as long as it did. I think a lot of mangaka just really want their series to be alright. Then what they really hate is like, yeah, it's jumping up. What do you mean jumping up? No, don't be in the top 3. No, not the top 5. No, give me the top 10. Top 10. Just that. No more than the top 10. Once you go to the top 5, I think at some point it just stops being your series, and you just have to keep going further and further. This is my 2 cents. I could be wrong. Whatever. Blue Exorcist. Oh, like Black Clover, this series should have ended a while ago. Fortunately, Black Clover has a bunch of characters I generally like, and with Blue Exorcist, I just do not like Yuki. I just don't. And there's a lot of Yuki in Blue Exorcist. Like, if you want to see a very annoying brother duo, Blue Exorcist, because of Yuki. And it's trying. Kato's trying. But anyway. Kakashi is fun. Alright, Yellow Tanabe is fun. I didn't realize that this series had a 3-in-1 set already, so I gotta get those. Apparently those came out in like 2012, so oh my god, I'm gonna be out that a while. But overall, I think really fun. One of my personal favorites. It's like 35 volumes, and I've gone through it at least 3 times, so fun. Samurai Deeper Kyo is niche. This is from that era of, hey, we're gonna base this and we're gonna make this anime. We know the manga's not finished, so instead of like creating filler, we're just gonna give an impromptu ending, and hope you all like it. Dan Green voices this. Yeah. So why am I mentioning Dan Green? Because fun to think about Dan Green. He has something else in common with this. Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, hang on. Let's try this one more time. There we go. So, why Yu-Gi-Oh? Well, like I said, I want something simple. Yu-Gi-Oh's not simple. As a card game, as a series, it is not simple. But it's a series I'm familiar with on a bunch of different levels, whether it be the anime, the manga. I'm familiar with it. I think that's all very important when you're trying to introduce a series to someone or explain a series. And when I was rereading it, well, before that, Yu-Gi-Oh was part of that era of what I call the absurdness. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you recall, what I mean by absurdness, I mean this premise is absurd. Why are we letting children do it? And as someone who was roughly a child when all this came out, looking back on it, this is wild. All right, so you got your Metabots, your Bakugan, your Beyblade, your Pokemon, and your Yu-Gi-Ohs. All right, so let's look to Metabe, young Ikki Tenryo here. So Ikki Tenryo lives in a world where everyone can have a robot, and they take that robot and they fight other people with their robots, and then a referee shows up out of nowhere. All right, wherever you think he's not there, he's there. All right, and he announces an official row battle, and what that means is, hey, some points will be given, and the loser must surrender a part to the winner. And I'm like, wait, what? And then you take the part and you put it on your robot, so that way in another battle you'll have another advantage. And here's the thing. By default, there'll be some gang wars. Alright? Legit gang wars, a rubber robo gang. Yeah, points to Metabots for having a good sense of humor about itself. But the fact remains that these robots shoot fire, shoot electricity, shoot missiles, manipulate gravity, and we just give them the kids. They have to buy them, to be sure, but our protagonist bought his Metabot at a convenience store. So on his way to pick up milk for Mom, he could have just gotten a robot. Yeah, whatever. Bakugan. Now, to be fair, I'm not intimately familiar with Bakugan. I know the premise, but the fact remains that a bunch of cards fall from the sky, and with the balls, with the monsters, and then the kids come in like, let's make this a game. And they have a whole community, which I do sort of like that aspect to it. And then it escalates to a whole two worlds collide on the inside, and you gotta fight for what's right before it's gone. This is Bakugan. It's still absurd. But it knows it's absurd, because they dress absurd. Beyblade. So I chose Original Tyson, because Original Tyson, to me, is still the one that will throw the most hands. But anyway, so with Beyblade, alright, you have a spinning top, alright? It spins. And you launch that against someone else with their spinning top, and they just sort of go at it like, and they spin. So that seems simple, right? Well, wrong, because there are monsters in some of theirs. Not all of them, some of them. And with your little gadgets and your know-how, pretty much, if you watch MacGyver, you can probably make a Beyblade. They go at it. And these aren't just like little like nature spirits. Like we got dragons, phoenixes. Some of them are cyber dragons and cyber phoenixes, and turtles and tigers and bulls. And as we go down, we dive further into other cultures and their stuff. Samurai Ifrit, eagle. That's way down the line, Beyblade. And the absurdity of it is that they're all just standing there, looking in a hole. It's the dish for the Beyblades. And like, yeah, go! And they're pretty much all trying to go Super Saiyan. Alright, actually they all do this. They all yell really loud, try to make it all happen. And we go from there, alright? All with spinning tops. Alright, as a competitive sport. And then we come to Ash Ketchum. Alright, and the Pokemans. So, let's point out that, let's say, Pokemon, there are Pokemon out there that, some will eat you, some will poison you, some will kidnap your children, some will devour souls, and some will just have the power to destroy the world. All right. With that in mind, one would think we wouldn't send 10-year-olds out into the world with no real preparedness. Ash Ketchum went out there with a backpack that really just had an extra change of clothes. All right, had nothing else. So what was he supposed to do? But that's not the weird thing. The fact is, it's a dangerous world, and we send 10-year-olds with no real knowledge. Like, Sure. In something like the Electric Tail of Pikachu, Ash did have to pass a test to get a trainer's license, and he still had to go to school. And that was a whole other interesting thing that I think would have made the series a lot better. But with that in mind, we don't quite really have the same sort of grounding nature. It's all sort of absurd. So with that in mind, and bear with me, Yu-Gi-Oh! Does the absurd in sort of the most perfect way possible. Like, it's a card game. Alright, now, we have professional card games in real life, alright? Professional poker players and whatnot. I think even Uno is starting to become a profession. Possibly. I mean, if rock, paper, scissors can be a professional sport, I don't know why Uno can't. Probably because it's just super violent. But with Yu-Gi-Oh!, because it's a card-based anime, the whole thing is pressed around the cards, so that would be a very simplistic story. We'd be looking at something like Metabots or Beyblade. But what happens then is we add a sort of darkness element to it, and by that I mean not just the occult feel that come with the original premise of the manga, i.e. the Egyptian kings played games of great and terrible power, but these shadow games erupted to throw the world into great darkness. Something along those lines. And, you know, some of it's in Millennium Puzzle. The whole premise is that this card game has a dark history that comes forward, and Yugi is sort of, as the one who solves Millennium Puzzle, is sort of now caught in this whole thing. And it sort of splits itself into two halves, which I think Beyblade did better than pretty much any of them out of those other four, in the fact that we have people who are actively trying to just sort of pursue this sport to its fullest, try to be the best themselves they can be, while at the same time there's also plots to destroy the world and engulf it in 10,000 years of darkness. As you do. Yu-Gi-Oh! Sort of traipses that sort of... that walks that sort of line there. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the whole premise really is the cards. Alright? And the absurdity that comes from that. At its core, though, there is a lot of heart to Yu-Gi-Oh! I think when I was rereading the series, which is what convinced me to, you know, want to talk about this, was really looking back at the first page. And just seeing, maybe a scene that sort of resonated with him, probably with other people, is just Yugi sitting by himself, playing games alone, wishing he had people that would, you know, want to enjoy those games with him. In essence, that's why I made this channel. All right, I wanted to talk about all the stuff that interested me with you, chuckleheads, and people of very high taste and caliber. I don't know why you're here, but I love you for it. And that sort of was the fun aspect to it, something that I appreciated, and why Yugi sort of became my favorite character in the series. But there's also some fun things to talk about, like how, due to how we don't want to advertise the kids in the US, which is weird, or at least with television. Commercials, yeah, but actual programming, no. So we had to change the cards, and to be fair, this polymerization has always been better than this polymerization. Alright, this is spilled milk. Alright, this is like someone took some chocolate syrup, tried to, you know, mix it in and just quit halfway through. Alright, or oil and water. This right here, this is fusion. This is monsters fusing together. Alright? We see changes from the manga to the anime, where the manga has very intimate duel arenas, at least in Duelist Kingdom, to sort of help emphasize the scale and how big it is, and to make things more epic. We're like, you know what? You know what will make this better? Lots of distance. Lots of distance. Like any further, and they won't be able to hear us, and they probably can't see us cheat. So yeah, we do that with these big arenas. We can talk about Season 0, and, well, and the first actual duel between Yugi and Kaiba that created this great epic rivalry, you know, as you do, as well as green-haired Kaiba. One interesting thing about Season 0 is that it really is sort of like the proto of the series. Absurd the card game is to this day. Like Season 0 in Duelist Kingdom, and I think the first year of Yu-Gi-Oh! Get a lot of flack for being not, you know, accurate to the card game. And to be fair, there are plenty of moments like, say, these.
Now, Stone Soldier! Destroy the moon! First, I activate my Pot of Greed magic card. That lets me draw 5 cards.
Wait, that's illegal.
Screw the rules, I have money.
Oh, there'll never be another Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged. Oh, there won't. There won't. Ultimately, it's a fun game, and I think that's one thing I think people always forget. In the original Yu-Gi-Oh! It really is supposed to be the ultimate game. And we'll go into more of that later as to how that sort of really works with Duelist Kingdom more than I think any other era of Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Duel Monsters as it's called, or Magic and Wizards, which felt a bit generic, but also sounds a bit like not just Magic the Gathering, but Dungeons and Dragons, which will play a big role in the series going forward. It's really fun when you think about that. But ultimately, what made me really want to do this series was finding out the creator of Yu-Gi-Oh! Died while saving people from drowning. Alright? At the age of 60. And I think that was like the really, well, it wasn't the first one. I'm still not over the suicide of Robin Williams. But, yeah, he's here. Kazuki Takahashi created something that really spoke to me. Alright? Yes, it's over the top, and it's it's bombastic, and the rules don't really make much sense because ultimately it wasn't just supposed to be about the card game. It was supposed to be about games in general. It was a story really about learning to take a step, right? Learning the importance of friendship and how, in a lot of ways, games can be used to help people, and the importance of friendship and the bonds we make, and the importance of putting your heart into something you care about. I think we sort of glance over the real point of Heart of the Cards, where the idea is that these aren't just pieces of paper, these aren't just models you made. There's a story to them, a promise you made to yourself when you made that card, when you chose to select those cards. Before we got into the whole realm of archetypes, for the most part, you picked cards that you liked. All right, you picked cards that resonated with you, may have had a story that meant something to you. All right. I still have my first Dark Magician. All right. Karibo is one of my favorite monsters of all time. First of all, look at it. It's adorable. His name is Carson. He's my second son. All right. So we got Fergus and Carson. So there we go. Fergus, this is about Yu-Gi-Oh! So you're going to stand here for us. And with me and Carson, we're going to help deal with this one here, all right? When we get to Pokemon, it'll be you and me, all right? So with that in mind, that's sort of why I wanted to do this. In addition to, I think Kazuki Takahashi created this series in a way because he liked games as a kid. He wanted to share that with other people. I want to share my love of this with you guys, all right? So, yeah, now that we've all sort of gotten all emotional and whatnot, gotten with our feelings, let's go into how we're going to do this. So, with, after hearing those sort of nightmare stories from Totally Not Mark and Suede, I'm going to try to not use a lot of anime clips for this, so we'll mostly be using the manga, which will be pretty fun because I've got the manga. And we'll probably do a couple stories from each arc. Going from there, we're going to start with Season 0, the murder season, and we're going to end it with Millennium World. I'm not really that interested in, say, GX, 5Ds. I was never interested in Zexal. And actually, anything past GX, I kind of just sort of checked out on as a manga. And after 5Ds, I was just kind of done with the anime as a whole. Kazuki Takahashi didn't really do much after the first initial wave. He left most of it to his assistant in terms of that. And you'll notice a bit of a difference between where the game, not just the game, but where the series started when he was on it to when he left and going further down the line. As a matter of fact, there's been a whole bunch of videos now about how Takahashi Sensei's art has been greatly missing from the series. But overall, let's do it. So anyway, with that in mind, let's bring this to a close. If you're new to the Bucket Think Tank, feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe. Check out some others, and I'll catch you all later. This is Bucket Think Tank signing off. Thanks for watching. As always, may your fandom serve you well. What do you think? What do you guys think? What do you think? Is it good on Carson? Is it good on... Wow, it is. Yeah. It looks much better on me on Carson than me. Look at that. Look at that.